Your friends invite you to a night out, but you know that you shouldn't go because if you go there, you know that you will be sleep deprived the next day. You will feel tired. You're not going to work on your project, you're not going to go to the gym, but you still end up going. You want to stop smoking. It's been a week you haven't smoked anything. You feel proud of yourself. You go somewhere, to a party, to an event, and then someone gives you a Cuban cigar. And they're like, want to try it? And you tell them, well, I stopped smoking. But then your mind starts thinking, well, it's a Cuban cigar. You always wanted to try a Cuban cigar. So you take it and you smoke. Even though you told yourself that you're not going to smoke. You want to stop alcohol. It's been, what, 2 weeks you haven't drank. You're feeling so proud. You go to a party to just enjoy yourself without drinking. But then your Russian friends comes up to you with a bottle of vodka straight up from Russia, real Russian vodka. He's like, "You want to try it?" And then you're like, I stopped drinking, but at the same time, it's real Russian vodka. I always wanted to try it." And you drink. And then you're in the bathroom throwing up at the end of the night, even though you told yourself that you're not going to drink. You want to stop sugar. You want to stop sugar. It's going well. Then you go to a restaurant and there's a dessert with a cake with a new flavor that you never tried. And you're like, well, I never tried this flavor. I have to try it. So you eat the cake. Oh my god. What does that happen? It all comes down to the fear of missing out. It all comes down to the fear of missing out. And it holds you back. It holds you back from achieving your full potential. It's the reason why you keep going to your bad habits. This is the real reason why you cannot stop fully doing your bad habits. You keep going back to them because there's always going to be an excuse to do the bad habit. Your brain is smarter than you, okay? Your brain will find excuses and it will cope just to get you to do the bad habit. Any excuses, it will say, oh, it's a new flavor, or oh, I always wanted to try this. And because of that, you keep going to the bad habit. You're being a slave to your own mind. I'll give you an example how I realized this. So I stopped eating sugar, and I really like sugar. I used to eat it a lot, and at some point I was like, okay, I gotta stop eating sugar. But I struggled with something during that process. It was because sugar, there was always something new. I would go to the supermarket and there would be like this new type of chocolate with this new flavor, or there would be this new cake. Or I would go to a restaurant and I would be like, oh my god, I never tried this type of cake. I want to try it. And I would take it because I would fear of missing out on this new flavor. So I would just go against what I wanted, which is not eating sugar, and I would eat it. And what what helped me a lot to to overcome this is I realized that there's always gonna be a new flavor. There's always gonna be a new dessert. If every time I use this as an excuse, like, oh, I never tried this and I need to eat it, well, I will never stop eating sugar. There's always gonna be a new flavor. So, there's always gonna be excuses. There's always gonna be a reason to indulge in bad habits. Movies, okay? There's always gonna be a new movie. There's always gonna be a new movie. There's always gonna be a new text message. There's always gonna be a new YouTube video. There's always gonna be a new flavor. There's always gonna be a new night out. there's always going to be something new. And if you fear that you're going to miss out on it, you will never end up completely removing your bad habits from your life. And how you overcome this is once you say no to it, one time you have an opportunity, you get something new, and you're like, oh, I have to try it. Like, again, going back to example, like you want to stop smoking, right? And then your friend is like, oh, but I have Cuban cigars, and you think to yourself like, I want to try it. I never tried this new thing. But once you tell no, you just have to say no for one time. You say no, you sit in the discomfort of feeling like you're missing out. Like you will see your friends smoking the Cuban cigar and you're going to be sitting there not smoking it. And you will think to yourself like, oh, you will sit in the discomfort of feeling like you're missing out on it. But you're still not going to smoke. And afterwards, the next day, what will happen is you have built the confidence in you and you have built respect to yourself that you can overcome this urge of indulging in a bad habit because you fear of missing out. So once you do it once and you just sit in discomfort, okay? You sit in discomfort, you feel like you're missing out, your friends are like in the club, you feel like you're missing out, but you still sit at home, you go to sleep, and then once you do it once, it becomes really easier to do it the next time, the second time, the third time. So once you do it one time, you say no, then it's always easier. Because you're like, okay, already didn't like smoke this Cuban cigar, for example. So if I go to a party and someone gives me like another type of cigar that I never tried, I will not take it because I was like, oh, I said no to the Cuban cigar. Why would I say yes to this? Like, I don't know. I'm not as expert in Cuban cigar in cigars, but like, your friend gives you like Russian cigars, okay, and you're just gonna be like, I didn't take the Cuban cigars. I'm not gonna take the Russian cigars. That's it. Once you say no one time, everything becomes easier the following days, okay? So be willing, okay? The hard part is to do it once. Once you feel like you miss out on something and you still decide to make the right decision and not indulge in that bad behavior, then it's easier to just continue on doing it. And at some point, this fear of missing out, you will lose it. You will lose it. And this is good. This is amazing. All right. I love you all, and I will see you in the next episode. Rar.